Hair color terminology. What we're going to do with our terminology today is simply go over all the terms we have had through this unit. As I do that, if something you'd like more of an explanation on, please stop me. Let me explain it. Now's a good time to get our understanding of anything we might have missed. An activator is an oxidizer that is added to hydrogen peroxide to increase its chemical action. Do y'all remember about the activator? This is if we're going to use a lightening agent. Most of the time it's going to be the oil or cream lightener. With them we can only use 20 or 30 volume peroxide, but we need something stronger than that. So we determine how many more levels we want to lift than what that's capable of lifting, and we use an activator for each level. Activators are powdered or crystals. You put them, you measure out the hydrogen peroxide you're going to use. You're going to use 2 ounces of it. You determine how many extra levels you need, and you know how many activators to put in it. There's nothing in the bottle to start with but the activator and the hydrogen peroxide, and you mix that up well before you put your lightening agent in it. If you go up to 4 activators, then you can no longer use that product on a person's scalp. You must have it pulled through the cap. Aniline derivatives are uncolored dye precursors, which are very small compounds that can diffuse into the hair shaft. They combine with hydrogen peroxide to form larger permanent tint molecules in the cortex. When we say that they diffuse into the hair shaft, we know that we've got the color melanin left in the hair, and this disperses or diffuses into the hair shaft, and that's what actually attaches itself to our granules and stays there to give us that artificial color. Balayage or freeform technique is painting a lightener directly onto clean styled hair, and it tells us it's usually a powdered lightener. The reason we like to use a powdered lightener is so it will not seep through onto the other hair and leave it an orange ugly color. Base color is the predominant tonality of an existing color. What colors are the bases in our hair color products usually? Blue? Red? Yellow? Green. That's the primary colors. Now what else are they? Green. Green, orange, and violet, the secondary colors, and that is usually what the base color of any of our hair coloring products is. Booking time is salon time allotted for performing various services. Naturally, if you're going to do a hair lightening treatment, you're going to allow a lot more time than when you would for a haircut. Cap technique is a lightening technique that involves pulling clean strands of hair through a perforated cap with a thin plastic or metal hook. Color fillers are demi-permanent color products used as fillers when there is doubt as to whether the color result will be an even shade. A good instance when we might need a color filler, so when we've got somebody that's had their hair lightened and they don't get regular cuts because they're trying to let it grow out, and all the color seems to be seeped away from it. It seems to be white almost. They've been out in the sun and all this, and they want to now put it back to medium blonde just to have some color in it. So you'd go in, if they're wanting medium blonde, you'd go in with a color filler that's in that range and put it in there to put a base color or a filler to fill up the excess porosity, and also have something in there for the color, the artificial color, to attach itself to. Color or tint removers are prepared commercial products designed to remove artificial pigment from the hair. Notice that's different than a lightening product. Complementary colors are a primary and secondary color positioned opposite each other on the color wheel. I'm going to call out some colors and you tell me the complementary. Red.
Green.
Green, that's correct. Blue.
Orange.
Orange, that's correct. Violet.
Yellow.
Correct. Yellow. Conditioner filler are preparations used to recondition damaged, overly porous hair. And this is when we don't need a base color deposited. We may do a conditioner filler before we do a permanent wave. This is simply to fill it in the excess space that is left there when the cuticle scales have been raised and left standing open. Contributing pigment. It's the pigment that lies under the natural hair color that is exposed when the natural color is lightened. We must always take into consideration when hair color is selected. May also be called an undertone. Demi-permanent color are hair colors similar in nature to semi-permanent hair color, but they last longer. They're formulated to deposit but not lift or lighten color. They're also called deposit-only hair color, and the major difference between them and semi-permanent, although some manufacturers call these semi-permanent, the major difference is they use a processing solution that contains some hydrogen peroxide. Semi-permanent do not. Developer is an oxidizing agent that, when mixed with an oxidation hair color, supplies the necessary oxygen gas to develop color molecules and create a change in the hair color. The reason we even talk about developer is hydrogen peroxide is referred to as a developer. It's sometimes referred to as clear developer, sometimes referred to as cream developer. What is the difference?
Cream developer has a conditioner in it.
That's right. Cream developers have a little conditioning agents to help save the hair. Clear developer is nothing but hydrogen peroxide. Double process hair coloring. It's a coloring technique requiring two separate procedures in which the hair is pre-lightened before the depositing color is applied. May also be called double application tinting and two-step coloring. When would we use double process hair coloring? When you need to lift more than 4 levels? When you're pre-lightening. Maybe to get rid of some of the color so that your color will be brighter or more vibrant. Or maybe because you're using a pale, delicate shade or toner on it. Filler are specialized preparations designed to help equalize porosity. Sometimes also deposit a base color in one application. Foil technique is a highlighting technique that involves coloring selected strands of hair by slicing or weaving out sections, placing them on foil or plastic wrap, applying a lightener or permanent hair color, and sealing them in the foil or the plastic wrap until they're completely processed. Foundation is the color left in the hair after it goes through the stages of lightening. All right, so what we're talking about here is the color left in the hair. Let's assume we want a very vibrant red in this client and she's got black hair. So we've got to lift it to what? Not pale yellow, but into the yellow stage. That is our foundation there. If we left it at dark brown, we've not left it at the correct foundation to work with our hair coloring product. Glaze is a non-ammonia color that adds shine and tone to the hair. Hair color, being 2 words, is the color of hair created by nature. Hair color, being 1 word, is a professional, industry-coined term referring to artificial hair color products and services. Hair lightening is a chemical process involving the diffusion of the natural color pigment or artificial color from the hair, often called bleaching or decolorizing. Highlighting is coloring some of the hair strands lighter than the natural color to add the illusion of sheen and depth. Highlights do not generally contrast strongly with the natural color. Highlighting shampoos are mixtures of shampoo and hydrogen peroxide. It's used to slightly lighten natural hair color. Would that leave us seeing our contributing pigment? That's all it's going to do, is leave us with our contributing pigment. Highlighting shampoo tints, on the other hand, are permanent hair colors that have been mixed with hydrogen peroxide and shampoo. They're used when a very slight change in hair shade is desired or when the client's hair processes very rapidly. Intensity is the strength of a color tone. It may be described as mild, medium, or strong. And one of the best examples of that, mild would be strawberry blonde. Strong would be deep cranberry or burgundy that we put in the hair. Law of color is a system for understanding color relationships. Level is the unit of measurement used to identify the lightness or darkness of a color, sometimes referred to as value or depth. If we've got a number 1 on the level system, what color hair do we have? Black. So number 10 would be what? Light blonde. Lighteners are chemical compounds that lighten hair by dispersing, dissolving, and decolorizing the natural hair pigment. Line of demarcation is a visible line separating colored hair from new growth. That means we can tell when we need a retouch, or we can tell when we've overlapped our colors. Metallic or gradual hair colors are hair colors containing metal salts that change hair color gradually by progressively building up and having exposure to the air. They create a dull metallic appearance. And what this means when it says by gradually or progressive buildup, that means we put some on it tonight and we get a little color change. And we put some on it tomorrow night, we got a little more because we're progressively building it up one on the other. And all of that's what makes hair unfit for other chemical services that we've used metallic or gradual hair colors on. Mixed melanin is a combination of eumelanin and pheomelanin, often found in natural hair color. Natural or vegetable hair colors are natural colors such as henna. These products are obtained from the leaves or bark of plants, and we don't use those professionally. New growth is the part of the hair shaft between the scalp and the hair that previously received treatments. May also be called regrowth. And what's the street term for it? Roots. But we know that's not true because roots are embedded in the scalp. Off the scalp lighteners are lighteners that cannot be used directly on the scalp. That means we've got to foil or use the cap method. On the scalp lighteners are lighteners that can be used directly on the scalp without expecting any chemical burns on that client. Patch test. Be careful about your patch test and your strand test. They are two different animals. The patch test is seeing if we have a client that has an allergic reaction to our product. It is done by mixing some of the actual product with the strength of peroxide you're planning on using and placing inside the elbow or behind the ear for 24 to 48 hours, whichever that manufacturer recommends, and then removing it and seeing is the client having an allergic reaction. So a patch test is a test for identifying a possible allergy in a client. It is required by the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. It's also called predisposition test. So what then is a strand test? You put the product on the hair. What does a strand test tell you? It's going to tell us did the color process correctly, and if it did, how long. It'll also tell us did we choose the right thing, won't it? Permanent hair color is hair color that is mixed with a developer, usually hydrogen peroxide. It remains in the hair shaft until the new growth of hair occurs. Pre-lightening is the first step of double process hair coloring. It's used to lift or lighten the natural pigment. It's preliminary to the application of a toner. Pre-softening is the process of treating gray or very resistant hair to allow for better penetration of color. What does pre-softening actually do to the hair? It opens the cuticle scales so that we can go into the cortex. Primary colors are pure or fundamental colors that cannot be achieved from a mixture. What are the primary colors? There's three of them. Blue, blue, red, and yellow. Resistant is a characteristic of some hair types that make penetration by moisture or chemicals difficult. What makes hair resistant? The cuticle scales are closed down very tightly, so it's resistant to anything we put on it. Reverse highlighting or low lighting is a technique of coloring strands of hair darker than the natural color. Secondary colors are color obtained by mixing equal parts of true primary colors. What are our secondary colors? Orange, green, violet. Semi-permanent hair color is hair color formulated to last through several shampoos. It partially penetrates the hair shaft and stains the cuticle layer, slowly fading with each shampoo. The reason it is allowed to penetrate is because it's an alkaline substance. The book says several shampoos. Some of y'all's book says 6 to 8 weeks, and some of y'all says 6 to 8 shampoos. So which is it?
6 to 8 shampoos.
It's 6 to 8 shampoos. And the reason for saying 6 to 8 weeks, that's assuming you only wash your hair once a week. And we know that has changed greatly. Now, when I first started working the business, that's about all anybody ever did shampoo unless they had excessively oily hair. Single process hair coloring is a process that lightens and colors the hair in one application or a single application. Slicing is a coloring technique that involves taking a narrow 1/8 inch section of hair by making a straight part at the scalp, positioning the hair over the foil, and applying lightener or color. We don't use slicing so very much, do we? We use the weaving technique. Soap cap is a combination of equal parts of prepared tint and shampoo applied to the hair like a regular shampoo. We also know when we're doing a retouch that if we want to brighten up the ends or freshen up the ends and the mid shaft, that we may just add some conditioner or shampoo to our formula that's been sitting there and pull it through for the last few minutes just to brighten up what we had done a month or two before. Special effects hair color is any technique that involves partial lightening or coloring. So what that's saying there, if we're not doing the whole head, we're doing a special effect. Temporary hair color is non-permanent color whose large pigment molecules prevent penetration of the cuticle layer. It allows only a coating action that may be removed by shampooing. The reason it says it may be removed, if we've got excess porosity there, it may stain the cuticle layer and look like it hasn't been removed. Tertiary color is intermediate color achieved by mixing a secondary color and its neighboring primary color on the color wheel in equal amounts. What are our tertiary colors? Blue-green, yellow-green, yellow-orange, red-orange,
and
blue-violet, and red-violet. Tone or tonality is a term used to describe the warmth or coolness of a color. Toners can be semi-permanent, they can be demi-permanent, and they can be permanent hair color products that are used primarily on pre-lightened hair to achieve pale and delicate colors. Virgin application is the first time the hair is tinted. Volume is the measure of the potential oxidation of varying strengths of hydrogen peroxide. The higher the volume, the greater the lifting action. All right, let's say we've got 3% tin volume peroxide. How many levels will it lift? 3% tin volume. How many levels will it lift? 1. We've got 6% 20 volume. How many levels will it lift? 2. We've got 9% 30 volume. How many levels will it lift? 3. We've got 12% 40 volume. How many levels will it lift? 4. We don't go any more than that with hair color. We must then go to a lightening agent. Weaving. Coloring technique in which selected strands are picked up from a narrow section of hair with the zigzag motion of the comb, and the lightener and color is applied only to these strands. All right, do we have questions? Thank you.